Welcome, everyone, to Mecha Rewatch. Gundam Wing Episode 1.
The first episode.
That we've ever done.
Never before have we attempted to do this podcast.
Yeah, never have we ever recorded any episodes of a show called Mecha Rewatch, nor have they ever been about Gundam Wing.
If you find any on the internet, those are imposters made by AI.
Yeah, using our voices.
Yeah, which is impressive, because why would anyone bother?
Yeah, like, we're not that big.
I do have some weird friends, though.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibility. That being said,
we did just watch Gundam Wing Episode 1, so I guess now we have to talk about Gundam Wing Episode 1.
We do indeed. And in fact...
The episode that has the most plot in one episode for a really long time.
Yeah! Weirdly.
Like, there's a lot of plot in this episode, because it sets up the whole show. And then we're gonna get a lot of nothing.
And also
this.
Lots of like plot stuff that like never gets expanded upon.
Yeah, there are a few plot threads here that will just kind of disappear.
So much like any good rewatch podcast, we have a few counters, and those counters we will reveal as they come up. And boy, howdy, are they just some interesting counters?
Sure.
So I am pulling up behind the voice actor so that...
Oh, fair. I thought you were going to pull up a plot synopsis of the show.
No.
You don't want to go through it scene by scene?
I mean, that is the plan. So
I certainly don't remember it. It's hard to remember. Some people shot each other. That was most of it.
I mean, that was a sizable portion of this episode. Look, this episode is weird because a lot of things happened, and also
nothing happened. Well, because there's a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. You have to assume going into this episode that maybe you have no idea what Gundam is. Maybe you don't know what a mech is, right? Maybe, just maybe, you're not familiar with the concept of the solar system. So we do have to explain these things.
So, Gundam Wing came out in Japan in 1995.
Yeah. Which is always more recent than I think it is.
Yeah, no. You think it's like an early 90s show.
It feels 80s to me. It feels so 80s.
Well, but it came out after the actual 80s Gundam show, which was...
Yeah, I guess
Mobile
it's trying
Suit
to
Gundam.
ape the 80s. That's fair.
It is very much still trying to, like... It's trying to capture specifically the 80s Gundam vibe.
Yeah. And it does.
It does. It does.
It looks like it's from the 80s.
Yeah. And then it actually released in the U.S. in year 2000, March 6th.
Ah, well. I mean, you can tell that it's a pre-9/11 show.
It is.
It's because this plot would be...
Oh, yeah, this plot would be an absolute no-go in post-9/11
Yeah, it sure would be. For multiple reasons.
Oh, yeah, no, it would be an absolute no.
It depicts Arab people, for one.
Arab people
positively, too.
Yeah, who aren't the bad guys.
Yeah, they're a little bit of a stereotype, but, what are you going to do?
Yeah, we'll get into that when they get introduced.
It's true. They've only been very briefly in the show, and they've all been in mechs so far. But yeah, I guess let's start at the beginning.
Yes.
We have
exposition at the beginning is what we have.
Yes, we do.
By a very good narrator.
Lovely narrator.
Who is the narrator?
Now we will have to get used to this narration because it's not an episode 1 specific narration. They will do this every episode.
Well, not every episode. They'll do it every episode for like the first 10?
Yes. Yeah, they do stop. I think they stop at the first recap episode. Because then they start explaining what's happened in the show already.
Yeah, I think they switch the opening narration blurb every recap episode.
That sounds about right.
There's like four recap episodes. I don't know what we're gonna do for those yet.
Not watch them. Hopefully,
we
suffer. They're either.
I think we'll do our own recap episode.
Yeah, they're either terrible, or they're the best way to watch the show, and you should skip the rest and only watch the recap episodes.
I mean, they did a recap OVA. Which I'm curious to watch at some point. I haven't watched it because
Fair.
Why would I? I've already watched the show multiple times. What was your first exposure to Gundam in general?
My first exposure to Gundam is that it was sometimes on Saturday mornings at like 5 a.m. And I always, like, because they would just show random reruns of things that they owned in serialization, right?
Yeah, because that's how it was in the early 2000s.
And not in order,
No.
and not in,
Never.
any kind of semblance of plot. But it was always like, I would get up at like 5 a.m., go downstairs to watch cartoons, and I would hope that it was one of the shows I liked. Like Gundam, or Yu Yu Hakusho, or
the classics.
that one where they have the people in the spaceships and the pirates and Outlaw Star. Right? I would hope it was that, and sometimes it would be that, and sometimes it would be like garbage. Right.
Like Dot Hack.
Yeah. Well, not even, I would have been happy to watch. Sometimes it would be things that I just, young me didn't care for, right? Because they weren't like sci-fi action stuff. They were,
like Sailor Moon. Don't get me wrong. As a kid, I was just really into animation as a kid. So
yeah, I definitely, like, when the Sailor Moon came on, I watched the Sailor Moon, right? But yeah, definitely, I was hoping for Gundam. I wasn't hoping for Sailor Moon.
No, yeah.
And then
Dragon Ball.
Also, I think Gundam was a little, because my dad was going to be getting up in an hour or two, or maybe earlier, and like, I would have been much happier for him to see Gundams shooting each other on screen than whatever was going on in Sailor Moon. Right? If he saw Sailor Moon, he'd be like, what is that?
I haven't watched Sailor Moon in ages.
No. Well, why would you?
No.
I mean, look, conceptually, Sailor Moon is great, but I don't particularly have a desire to re-experience its plot.
No. And, my first exposure to Gundam was I caught one episode. My family used to pirate satellite. Back before Dish Network kind of took over satellite television. And we would get Cartoon Network. And I caught Toonami.
Yep.
And I would only catch the beginning of Toonami, because Toonami went too late past my bedtime.
Ah, sure.
So I'd only catch the first few episodes, and they wouldn't always air the same shows, much like your Saturday morning thing. They would just kind of air them. And I caught one episode of Gundam Wing, and I actually know exactly which episode it is, and when we get to it, I'll mention that's the one.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, I was always hoping to get up early enough to catch like an episode of Gundam or something, into then watching like Powerpuff Girls and Ed, Ed and Eddie, right? Because as soon as it hit like 6, that was when it switched over to sort of more traditional American cartoons.
Yeah.
So I got up at 5 to catch an episode of an anime, basically.
Much later, when I was like a teen, I asked for Christmas to get the entirety of Gundam Wing on DVD, get the DVD box sets.
Sure.
And and it came in 2 box sets. I didn't know this as a kid. My parents got me both box sets for Christmas, which is impressive, because most parents would have gotten the second half of the show box set, and I would have been very confused and like, what the heck is going on? But they got me both.
So what was your first time so that was your first time seeing it like in its entirety in order?
Yeah.
I was already an adult by the time I saw the whole thing, and I had seen many other Mecha things at this point. Like this was not my intro to Mecha stuff.
This was my intro to Mecha stuff. Well, sort of. I guess you could say my intro to Mecha was BattleTech.
Sure.
In some ways.
Mine was too. The MechWarrior games were probably my intro to Mecha stuff. Like, really.
In general,
But, I remember rewatching it as an adult, and because I had never really understood the plot, because I was just watching random episodes, God, it shocked me what this show was actually about. I had no idea, right?
It was funny because I think that same Christmas I got a 30 DVD box set that was like, it covered in almost granular detail, using almost exclusively archival film footage, World War II.
Oh, sure.
And I watched Gundam Wing all the way through, and then watched that, and then went back and watched Gundam Wing all the way through. That was like my Christmas break, was just watching Gundam Wing World War II documentaries.
And
it was great.
I think part of it for me is that the episodes they were showing early mornings in serialization were the action-heavy episodes. Right? It wasn't random. They were specifically selecting the ones that were visually appealing, and absolutely skipping all the plot.
Well, because they want them ratings.
Right, correct.
And kids getting up at 5 a.m. to watch
care.
cartoons.
Right,
Don't care about the plot.
I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know who half these characters were the first time I saw it. Right. I had never seen Relina Peacecraft. Like, ever. She's not in the episodes where the mechs shoot each other.
Right. And, like, because that was technically my first, like, into anime. I guess technically that'd be Pokemon, the TV show, but...
Yeah, again, that was definitely my first into anime. My first experience actually, like, watching an anime where I could watch what was Dragon Ball Z. Because that was the first thing that was on at a time where I could actually watch it, and watch it in order.
Yeah, so once I actually, like... The first, like, anime series I actually, like, sat down and watched every morning episode sequentially was actually Metabots?
Metabots?
Because we didn't have satellite TV anymore. And so we had to go with Fox 45 was my Saturday morning cartoon channel. And it came on before my sister's Saturday morning cartoon channel because they liked watching the Disney-funded one.
Right, sure.
And that one had Metabots. And it had Fighting Foodons was another one.
Ooh, good choice, technically, sort of.
And then, but then it got like some decent ones. It started getting 4Kids dubs of certain things. It got the 4Kids dub of One Piece because 4Kids was actually the first people to get the license to dub for that.
Right. So you get a lot of people sucking on lollipops.
Yeah.
I mean,
but which is funny because I read the manga because Shonen Jump was like delivered to our local grocery store, and when my mom would go shopping, I would just, because they didn't have it in like a plastic wrap normally or anything, I would just read Shonen Jump, and I was a fast enough reader and had good enough reading retention. I could just read the entirety of a Shonen Jump issue while my mom was getting all of the groceries, and she's like, my kid's not running around causing trouble in the store.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit that he's sitting there reading quietly, so this is great. Yeah. She even bought me a few issues because it was like $5.
I consumed Dragon Magazine in the exact same manner. Except for me, it was sort of reading Dragon Magazine and then memorizing whatever D&D like supplemental material they had released in Dragon Magazine, so I could take it home and like ask my DM if I could play Dragonfire Adept because it was in issue 364 and in no other material.
That was actually my first exposure to the story of Yu Yu Hakusho. I'd seen ads for it all the time on Cartoon Network when I was at like my grandma's house and stuff. But like I didn't have cable or satellite, and none of the stations I watched aired that. The only, I think the only non-4Kids dub of something, unless it was dubbed by 4Kids originally, which maybe it was Shaman King. And that one I watched all the way through as well. That was also running in Shonen Jump, and it was interesting seeing the differences between the two. Yeah. Because there's a lot more filler. This is an era... There's a lot less filler these days because of streaming services.
Well, I mean, we talked about earlier the recap episode. Shows don't do recap episodes anymore.
Some do, very rarely. It's very rare. Like maybe
rarely.
One a year we'll do like maybe one recap episode.
And it won't even necessarily take up like a slot in the show.
No.
American shows never do them anymore. Right?
No.
Anime sometimes still does them, but
like I mean, in American shows these days, you'll be lucky if you get a previously on.
Yeah, you don't even get that anymore because people are expected to binge it. Yeah, anime you still get a little more recap, and you get a little more. They kind of have fun with the recap episode. Like they know nobody wants to watch them. Yeah. Right. They know that most people don't need them and are just going to skip them, so they sometimes throw in fun. My favorite are the ones where the recap episode has new information. Like it's just that wasn't in the show. You're just supposed to be a recap. You're just telling me things that aren't in the show.
Close down. Which I couldn't find the narrator. I will dig it up.
That is interesting.
But let's go back to what's happening in
so what's happening in the what is this timeline actually called?
After Colony.
It's the After Colony timeline.
Yes, because notably Gundam, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Gundam, the main original series, Mobile Suit Gundam, is part of the Universal Century timeline. So Gundam Wing has nothing to do with any of that.
No, it is unrelated.
All of the shows have similar trappings to each other.
Sure do.
Most of them involve space colonies. The space colonies are designed almost exactly the same in all of these universes.
Yeah.
But the main, I guess what you could consider the main canon timeline for Gundam is Universal Century, or UC timeline.
Yeah.
You'll hear that come up a lot in like any Gundam discussion circles, is the UC timeline.
It is arguably the coolest timeline.
Yeah, arguably, yeah. It has
mostly
the
because
best Char version.
Because it has Char.
Yeah, because it has the original Char.
But also it's the version that sort of has the most action. That's weird to say, but like, because in Universal Century they get in like giant fights with battleships, right? And that does not happen in the After Colony timeline. That's not a thing.
Well, it does, but it doesn't happen. It only happens once.
Yeah,
and it
like
happens
extremely briefly.
Yeah, it's a lot more low scale.
Yeah, After Colony is much more about like individual characters doing stuff. Not that Universal Century isn't, but like there's not a grand backdrop of like a war. Right. There's just like, this is what's going on.
Well, not only that, but another difference is that like the only viewpoint switching we really get in original Mobile Suit Gundam is the back and forth between what Amuro Ray and his crew are doing and what Char is doing.
Correct.
Where in Gundam Wing, the main characters haven't even met each other yet.
Yeah, we do a lot more perspective switching, and honestly, I'm not sure it's a good thing, because it gets very confusing.
It will get confusing. Notably, at some point, we will be like probably alongside this posting a spreadsheet to show who's on whose side.
Yeah, who's on what side in this show gets very confusing. That was actually one of the things when I first saw it in order, was the shocking amount of who's allied with who just changes, which is very jarring as a child, right? Like, why is that character fighting this character now? They were fighting together last time I saw the show.
They were best buds last time. They were sharing like casual danger dialogue and shit.
But yeah, everyone will change allegiances repeatedly in this show.
Yeah, that is a very
drink every time there's a betrayal. Don't do that, you'll die.
Yeah,
drink something watered down, please.
Or like a PBR, like a sip from a PBR.
Look, you could drink soda every time someone betrays someone in this show, and you might still die of diabetes.
Yeah, it's frequent.
If you drink water, you might still drown.
So yeah, the plot backdrop for this is that the Earth is united under the Earth Federation, and they're beefing with the colonies.
Well, they're actually not as united as they think they are, but they think they're united.
They think they're united. That's how it's presented to us at first.
Yes.
That will swiftly break down, and when it does, it breaks down quick.
It's gonna break down like next episode, isn't it? We'll get to it, but it's very fast.
It's very rapid. So for this episode of the podcast, we're only going to cover the first episode, mainly because we're doing all this intro dialogue and stuff like that. But for every other episode of this podcast, we're going to do 2 episodes at a time, because they're only like 24-minute episodes.
Yeah, they're very short.
And this way we'll also get through the 50-episode season. Well, like 46 episode, because we're going to be... We won't be doing the recaps, I don't think.
This episode is already looking to be probably longer than the episode itself. Our recording time is at 19 minutes. Yeah, no, we haven't even gotten into the plot yet. We're gonna be over the time of the actual episode.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it then. Yeah. So, after the opening blurb, we have notably the colonies who are beefing with the Earth Federation.
Yeah,
they're feeling oppressed.
It's presented like they're already fighting. But we will find out that that's not really the case.
Yeah.
They're actually not, but the opening blurb presents it like they are already in open conflict.
Yeah, they do. The opening blurb does kind of present it like the colonies are at war with Earth.
I mean, they show us a bunch of images of like, again, this is like the only large-scale battle that we ever see in the show is in this intro, where a bunch of mobile suits are shooting each other, and that's just not actually happening.
And blowing up civilian shuttles. I think at least one civilian shuttle gets blown up.
Yeah, they sure do. And bodying a car.
Oh yeah, sending a sedan. Like one of the mechs skids into a street and just bodies.
It's one of their little gun tank clones, and it swings around a corner in like a power slide on its treads and just bodies a sedan.
Yeah.
Which is very funny.
That's something else we'll get into once we start introducing the suits a little more. But the suit design for this series is also very interesting.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah. The colonies are retaliating?
Yeah, it's unclear. The way it seems is that they are in open conflict, but space is big and no one has the resources to actually go fight each other. That is the impression I get, is that they're technically, like, at war, but also no one really has the stuff to send to go fight. Kind of the way, like, at the start of, like, World War I, everyone declares war and then has to mobilize for like 2 months. Yeah. Because no one actually immediately has the force projection to go fight somebody else.
And yeah, well, there's that, and there's the fact that, like, yeah, the Earth Federation, like, has in this episode a big conference about utilizing military resources and that kind of thing.
Right. And it seems like they're either in open conflict or the Earth Federation is just putting down some rebellions very hard. Because there definitely is a rebellion mentioned, but they talk about it like not getting bigger. So, who knows?
But either way, the colonies have decided to send 5 extremely technologically advanced mobile suits to planet Earth.
Which is an interesting plan. I mean, I guess if you have...
Piloted by teenagers.
Oh, yeah, well, obviously. Well, I mean, they're just the best pilots. That's how that works. They got the reflexes, you know. Look, in the same way that StarCraft players are retired at, like, 19. If you've got to have one pilot in your super mech take on an army, better be a teenager.
If you don't believe us on that, that's true though. Like, no, StarCraft players do retire by like their early 20s. Anyone who's older than like 21 in
professional esports players like, are old in their early 20s.
Is like the equivalent of a major league pitcher who's still pitching at like 50.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, first of all, it's just hell on your body, but also like. Yeah, you get old and you don't have the reflexes anymore.
And I don't know if this is the case. I know that they banned Adderall usage and stimulant usage in American leagues, but I don't know if they've done that in Korean leagues.
My understanding is that they have, but also like testing for Adderall is really hard.
It is.
Like it's not like physical PEDs where you have them like pee in a cup after their match.
Right.
So yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah. So they send the Gundams down to 5 different points on Earth.
Yeah.
And
notably, it's one Gundam from each.
Colony.
They're not called Gundams yet. That'll come up in episode 1. But from each, are there only 5 colonies, or is it just there's 5 colonies that are in revolt? That's unclear.
Yeah, I don't know if there's more. They don't really ever state the exact amount of colonies they have.
But they send 5 Gundams, and they are crucially each from a different colony.
Yeah, independently manufactured off of a baseline chassis.
Yeah, each one has kind of put their own spin on it. Like this is how we think a mobile suit should be built.
And boy, howdy, are some of those suits interesting.
Yeah, unclear at this point why they're able to build super advanced mobile suits, and Earth just hasn't done that.
Well, that will be stated later.
It will be later.
But yeah, right now.
But now it's just like they're just better.
So we actually get to see our pretty quick after that's kind of laid out for us by the opening narration. We get to see our first Gundam pilot.
Yes,
which is Hiro Yui.
He sure is. He's technically the main character of the show.
But before that, there is a like panning shot of a space shuttle.
I swear it's an homage to like 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it's a very like, if you've ever seen that movie,
right?
There is a shuttle flying through space, and it's a long take, and like you could put Blue Danube over it, and it would like be that movie but in anime.
Yeah, and it opens on a generic bearded dude.
Yeah, it
like,
sure does.
Slowly opening his eyes, and then he has a discussion with one of the main characters, Relina Peacecraft.
He's technically kind of a main character, too.
He kind of is.
He matters.
He doesn't have a voice credit here that I can find.
That's because he's not going to be in the show very long.
I mean, don't spoil it.
All of the adults in this show will be removed from the show extremely quickly.
Yeah, most of them anyway.
It's presented as the colonies rebelling against Earth, but really it's the children trying to establish some sort of Logan's Run situation, where they're just going to eliminate all the adults.
Clearly. But yeah, or Relina Dorlin, as she's called.
Right,
now.
she's Relina Dorlin currently. Sure. It's weird. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, we will come back to that. And notably, the voice director. So the dub group that's involved with. We're watching the English dubs of pretty much everything that we.
Oh, you just lost half our viewers.
I know.
So I'm watching it subbed. He's watching it dubbed. I'm watching it subbed same time.
Sure. Yes, that's what we're doing. Totally.
And that's you can vote for which of us you think is correct.
Yeah. To be fair, I've watched it both subbed and dubbed, and there are definitely parts where I like the original Japanese dub better. Mainly because there are certain lines that get translated weird in the English dub.
There is definitely some strange translation in this episode.
Mm-hmm. And the voice director for this show was Michelle Porter. And like I said, the dub group was Ocean Group, who you will recognize from Dragon Ball Z. If you watch Dragon Ball Z in the early, in the 90s and the early 2000s, this is the cast you knew and grew up with.
Yeah. Overall, they did a pretty good job. It's really not that bad.
No, it's actually a pretty solid dub. And Relina is voiced by Lisa Ann Bailey. Belay? It's Beley. I don't know how that's pronounced. She's done a lot of work. Most of the Ocean Dub people have done quite a bit of work.
I mean, yeah, when you're good at it, they just keep hiring you, right?
She was the drone announcer in Dead Rising 2 Case West. She was in Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2.
There's a Dynasty Warriors Gundam?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I have not played it.
I played it.
I don't know what I'm going to do after this.
It's deeply mediocre.
Oh, okay.
And actually, yeah, all of her game credits are mostly from Gundam games, but none of them as Relina, which I think is hilarious. Because I think Ocean Dub did a lot of the early Gundam dubs.
Who does she voice, if not...
Well, she voices...
Well, I said they're not all in this universe.
In Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2, she's Resin Schneider.
Like, are any of them in the After Colony universe, or are they all UC?
Some of them are UC, some of them are Gundam Seed universe.
Okay. But so that's why she's not voicing Relina.
Yeah.
Because it's not the right universe.
I don't know what universe Dynasty Warriors Gundam is in, if any.
That's true. There's a lot of Gundam material that's just like, we threw them all the universes together because we didn't care.
As for movies, she's done a lot of Gundam dubs, but she was also in Planet Hulk as
that's fun.
Kaera. She was in Silent Mobius 2, the motion picture. And she was in Bratz Super Babies.
Well, that's her defining work, clearly.
As Explodo Girl. She was also in
That sounds like a cool... I'm sure it's not. I'm sure that movie's awful. But Explodo Girl sounds like a character that I would legitimately think was cool.
She was in Max Steel, Dark Rival, as Cat Ryan and the N-Tech computer voice. She's also in The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. That's actually
that's good job.
Yeah, as a TV host and a teacher, she did mostly background roles for that.
Oh, okay.
And she was in Max Steel Countdown.
Yeah.
Again, as Cat Ryan in the N-Tech computer. She was in Hot Wheels Acceleracers, The Ultimate Race.
Yeah, so there's lots of voice acting and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, you just kind of get,
Yeah. As for anime, really quick, because, I mean...
I'm sure anyone listening likes anime.
Yeah. She's in the English dub of Gintama.
Okay.
As the Dekoboko Archbishop and Senzo Hattori Young.
Senzo Hattori, Young.
Yeah. She's in Wolverine Weapon X. As Miranda Bayer, Evan Wachowski, Amy, Agent Number 5, Nurse, Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. Female Scientist, and Tech.
Oh boy, female scientist.
That's right. I think Ocean Group also did the dub for Black Lagoon because she's also the voice of Etta. Black Lagoon. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So she's a familiar voice. She's also Sesshomaru's mother in Inuyasha: The Final Act. And she was in Death Note Relay 2: L's Successors as Hallie Lindner. Yeah. Lots of credits. Lots of stuff like that. She's in arguably the best Powerpuff Girls adaptation, which is Powerpuff Girls Z.
Oh boy! I mean, you're right. It's like the only Powerpuff Girls adaptation. They haven't done a lot of
No.
but it's so you're right. It is the best one. Conceptually, the show's very fun.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, she snipes at her father. Really,
snipes at her father. We will find out very quickly that it is her birthday, or very close to her birthday. And that her dad has dragged her along to a diplomatic conference because this man only knows his work and his daughter is around.
Well, notably, this is, like, she's from Earth.
She is.
And, because she goes home at some point.
Correct. But they...
Not in this episode, but she does go home.
It's interesting because her father is presented as very work-oriented, but also, like, he knows it's her birthday. He mentions it. The press asks what he's going to do, and he says, I have to go get my daughter a birthday present. And then she says, this is getting into a later scene, but she says, oh, no, you don't have to. And then he leaves. And then she complains about that fact. And this will be a constant character flaw of Relina, that she just doesn't know what she wants.
Actually, though.
And will flip-flop repeatedly. Will say to do a thing, and then a person will do a thing, and then she will go, why did you do that thing?
While they're having this conversation, Hiroyui is introduced.
Yeah, so let's get into the plot by the colonies, because it's a very simple plot, but also very silly. They are going to send these 5 Gundams on, like, ballistic orbital trajectories so that they can pretend to be, they say shooting stars, meteors. Yeah. They're going to pretend that they're junk falling to Earth. This doesn't work. But
they're found out immediately.
Yeah, I guess they get we can presume that Earth has some sort of orbital defenses that they're getting past. I guess that's the idea.
They never mention them.
They don't get intercepted on the way down, although it's unclear that would have been a particular problem for them. So
especially since all of them engage in combat immediately.
Right. That's why I have to assume that there's some sort of, like, anti-orbital defense grid that could have actually taken them out on the way in, and that's what, or knocked them off trajectory or something.
I don't think there is, because if there was a later episode, it would completely become.
We can assume that defense grid is
actually
negated by events that will come up very quickly.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But because it's the only way, because they land and they immediately attack everything around, so. It can't be that this isn't a stealth mission. Mm-hmm. They just have to touch down without being seen for some reason.
Yeah.
And that's
maybe it's a deniability thing.
No. Everyone knows immediately that they're from the colonies. They don't even try to hide it.
No, not really.
They don't try to hide it. They don't try to, like, be stealthy. They just, like, attack whole armies. So it's gotta be that there is something that could have stopped them from landing.
Yeah. And so
which almost happens here, actually. Hiroyui's mech gets intercepted.
It's not a mech yet, though. It's a plane.
It has very real geometry, as a scene will show us.
Literally.
Yeah, they have a scanner, and as it moves, they have a big blinking light that says variable geometry, to which you go, it sure is.
Lon has opinions on variable geometry.
Well, this kind of variable geometry is just nonsense. Oh, it's a magnet, it turns into a plane. Sure, whatever.
Well, for Warhammer 40k fans, the voice actor of Hiroyui will actually perhaps be familiar even if they have never watched anime before.
Oh, that's fun.
Mark Hildreth is the voice of Hiro Yui.
And what is he voicing in our Warhammer?
He is in Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 2 Retribution.
As?
Imperial Guardsman and the Baneblade Crewman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
He's also in a lot of like Lega Ninjago. He does a lot of voices for that. Also in Max Steel. I think Ocean Group just did all the Max Steel shit.
Max Steel, that makes sense.
Yeah. He's also in Planet Hulk as Red King.
Yeah, which is another one. They're all going to have been in this a lot of the same things because they all just do things as a group.
Yeah. He is in Dragon Age Origins as Sten.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. That explains a lot about his character.
And some of his more unsung work. He's in Barbie and the Three Musketeers as Prince Louis.
Oh, fun.
He's also in Metal Gear Online, Metal Gear 4 Guns of the Patriots as enemies.
So not any of the good Metal Gear games.
He's also in Class of the Titans.
Did you say Class of the Titans? Don't know what that is.
It's a I actually caught a few episodes of it. Okay, so that show, brief aside, show is a it's a Western animation. It's kind of like, do you remember there's like the one high school show that has like a cult following that was like they have like historical figures revived as high schoolers, like Gandhi's in it, Abraham Lincoln.
I don't, but that sounds funny.
It's like that, but they're basically teenage high school versions of like gods and demigods, a lot of them.
Okay.
And he is Pan/Phil.
Oh, okay.
He was Shinosuke in Inuyasha. A lot of people will probably know him from that.
Yeah, people know that.
He actually has 2 other voice credits for Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. General Vente, which will come up later.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to General Large.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rescuer A.
Oh boy.
His best role in the show.
Pretty sure both of those characters are he's going to be voicing Screams, if I recall correctly. I don't think it's anything else.
I mean, that honestly, I think that's what they have him in the show for.
Yeah.
He also did some like additional voice work, like extras type stuff that's largely uncredited for Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he actually didn't do any Black Lagoon. Or at least none that I could find here.
Wasn't with the company at the time, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually distinctly possible because there's quite a bit of stretch between now
and
then. So he briefly kind of says something along the lines of "Mission Starto," except not aggressive.
Quite that aggressive.
It's much more menacing because he's lining up a shot to take out the civilian shuttle because it's in his path.
The civilian shuttle that our other characters are in, it is between him and his landing site, and rather than like go around again, I guess because it would be he's trying to pretend to be a meteor, and meteors don't maneuver, but also.
Meteors don't shoot either.
Meteors don't shoot, and also, like, surely if a meteor is about to hit your craft, you stop it. You like, was this not part of your plan to pretend to be a meteor that also, if you're going to hit something, that's going to be a problem?
As it's shown later, Gundanium, which it's what these Gundams are made of.
Yeah,
That's why they're called Gundams
made of
in
Gundanium.
This timeline. They're made of a thing called Gundanium.
This is explained in this scene while they're scanning it. It's made of Gundanium.
And he straight up could have just crashed straight through that civilian shuttle on his ballistic track.
He could have. That's not the problem. My question is, like, if your goal is to pretend to be a meteor, then you need to, like, make sure that no one has an interest in, like, I don't know, deflecting the meteor, right?
Well, anyway, the scan from the Alliance craft, or the Federation craft, reveals yet another main character. They're coming in thick and fast, people, and they're going to keep... It's going to be a run for most of this.
This is Zex Marquis. He is our Char clone for the series, He's not nearly as cool as Char. He's just not.
He's a cool character, but he is not. He's
not.
Char.
He's not Char. He's not Char at all. He's also. I mean, he's kind of presented as a villain here, which is funny because he is a villain, but he's also not a villain.
Yeah.
Again, they are gonna switch sides. Like, it's not just that they're gonna switch in universe what allegiance they have. They are gonna switch between who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist repeatedly.
Yeah.
And not in like a it's all shades of gray style.
No.
In a I have decided to become the villain now. Never mind, I'm the hero.
I have the villain stick. I have the villain conch.
There's a couple of characters who will stay villains the entire time. And that's about it.
Yeah. Well, and even one of them is gonna end up the good guy later.
Yeah.
Or at least setting himself up as that. But anyway, Zex Marquise, voiced by Brian Drummond. He does voices for Coco Melon Lane, which some of you who have kids might know. He was in Polly Pocket Sparkle Cove Adventure, which is a 2023 show.
Okay. Well, he's still getting work. Good for him.
Yeah. And he's also in Lego Ninjago.
He does a fine job here. Like, I don't think any of the voice actors.
He was in Sonic Prime.
Oh,
as Dr. Eggman.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Very similar characters, really.
Mm-hmm.
Zex Marquis and Dr. Eggman are, I mean, visually very similar.
Yes, very similar.
I mean, color-wise, that helmet kind of looks like it.
They actually do have a very similar color scheme. I'll give you that.
Well, and the helmet kind of makes him look kind of egg-like. You know, I'm just saying. You could probably swap them.
He was in Zoids Wild.
Oh boy, Zoids. It's not something I've thought of in a long time.
No. He's in Dragon Ball Super as cloned Vegeta, because I think he voiced Vegeta in Dragon Ball.
Why would you be cloned Vegeta and not just Vegeta?
You'd be surprised. But he was Benny in Black Lagoon.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Not cloned Benny.
No, not cloned Benny. He was Ryuk in Death Note Relay 2, L's Successors. I think, yeah. And he did a few voices for Gundam 00. We'll get to that when we get to Gundam 00, eventually. Won't be for some time. He was Saito in Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I knew I'd recognize his voice from more
just want to
stuff.
know. I want to know if he's clone Vegeta, but not also actually Vegeta. Did they really get a separate voice actor? Like, Vegeta voice actor? No, you can't. I'm sorry, you don't have the hours. We need to get someone else in.
You're too expensive.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't remember how much Vegeta there is in Dragon Ball Super.
There's a fair
I don't think
amount.
it's none. Yeah.
It didn't list him as Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super.
That's okay.
Wait, but I think he played Vegeta in the original Dragon Ball Z dub, or in the Ocean Dragon Ball Z dub, and maybe the idea was clone Vegeta. They
sound like
they use. Well, I think because I don't know what that arc is because I haven't watched any Dragon Ball Super at all.
I have, but long time ago, and I don't remember.
Yeah, he was Vegeta. He was also Yajirobe.
Okay.
And
so they're just like, we need another guy who can do a Vegeta voice.
Yeah.
That guy can do a Vegeta voice.
He was also in Ranma and a Half.
Okay.
As Crepe Joe and Yasukichi. Anyway, so they're discussing Zex and his lads.
Yeah.
Are discussing
only two of his lads.
Yeah, only two of them. Zex has many lads, and his lads will take many casualties throughout the course of this show.
They are red shirts. They are also exposition dumps and
some of them are named.
Yes, some of them do get names, but like a vast majority of the exposition in this show will come from Zex saying to do something.
Yeah,
and then one of the lads being like,
But Commander,
why are we doing that?
Yeah. And then Zex will explain
why this is a good idea, because he's Zex and he knows what he's doing most of the time.
which is weird from a like real life military standpoint because commanding officers don't have
to explain themselves like that,
especially not operating under the capacity that Zex is operating under right now.
And Zex also no one else in this entire show wears the same uniform as Zex Marquis. That helmet cannot be standard issue, but nobody ever says, Zex, why are you out of uniform? So it must also be a legal uniform for the Earth, was it United Earth or whatever?
Earth Federation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Most likely.
It's we can presume that all of the other officers have the option to wear his weird helmet, but choose not to because it's weird.
Yes. So they're discussing...
And also dress in red.
Yeah.
The color scheme of their uniforms is also very weird.
Which, okay, so now we're going to also see some wishy-washiness from Hiro Yui.
Yes, because he's going to shoot this transport down, and then he doesn't, presumably because he knows that his love interest is aboard, even though he can't see her yet.
And doesn't know she's his love interest.
And doesn't know has never met her presumably has seen her on TV, but doesn't know she's aboard. Yeah. So that is irrelevant. But his love interest senses are tingling, so he doesn't shoot the craft.
Yeah, well, because, and notably Zex remarks upon this, because they're like, do you think that the hostile's going to shoot that civilian shuttle down? And he's like, oh no, they're not going to shoot it down with us here.
Yeah, they won't shoot it down while we're watching, which...
If you know anything about... And you will see it as we reveal more about Hiro Yui throughout and his actions throughout these next few episodes. It's very it's almost weirder that he didn't.
Yeah, it's definitely on that he didn't, especially because he's revealed immediately, and they know what's going on. They don't think this whole thing about thinking that they're shooting stars doesn't work. They don't think he's a meteor.
No, not even for a second.
Not even for a second. They are watching him. And they're like, yes, this Gundam is on an approach course, and we're going to allow it? Well, I mean, they don't. They do try to shoot him down, but, later, they just don't try very hard.
No. So, notably, the guys in their transport craft that they're flying in.
Yeah. They say, oh, let's shoot him with the machine guns.
No.
And Zex says,
machine gun for him.
No machine guns for him. And then again,
says we'll have to shoot him down.
Yeah, we'll have to shoot him down. And well, then what were your machine guns going to do? Not shoot him down, I guess.
I guess not, because he decides to go out in a mobile suit.
He does.
And they notably remark, but sir, why are we prepping the Leo? Was it a Leo or was it? Yeah, it was the Leo.
It's the Leo, which doesn't have air capability.
No, it's the grunt suit. So this series is interesting because it doesn't just have one grunt suit.
Yeah, they come in
It doesn't have a Zaku. It has multiple suits.
It has 12 Zakus that each are specialized in a different thing.
Yeah, this universe is very in on single role specialization for its mobile suits.
Some of which we'll only see. I mean, there is a Zaku. It's the Leo. The Leo is the Zaku.
Yeah,
because they all seem to. The Leo is just the standard one with an assault rifle.
Yeah.
Zex's has a cannon because it's obviously fancier.
I honestly like the design of the grunt suits in this series.
Oh, they look good. They're cool.
But they remark that he's not taking out the aerial combat suits, the Ares. They call it the light speed suit.
Right. He's not going to be able to fly, and they're entering atmosphere. And he's just that's fine.
He's no, yeah, he basically is no. I have to bring my A game.
Right, yeah. And it's you're... in the sense that you'll be unable to maneuver, and what? Why is that your A game?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a cannon, and the cannon works, which is shocking.
Yeah. As we will see, numerous of those cannons not work later.
Yeah, because Zex shoots.
Notably, Hiro's suit's still in plane mode.
No, it's transformed at this point.
It has not transformed yet.
Yeah, because they've seen the variable geometry thing.
Well, it hasn't fully transformed. That variable geometry is just shown for the wings. They still think it's a fighter.
Do you think? Okay.
Because notably, they're like, okay, well, we'll shoot this fighter down. And he's like, no. The threat isn't the fighter. Yeah, we'll shoot that down, but the threat is the pilot inside.
Which is okay, but shooting down the fighter would take care of that threat. So, okay. Sure. But yes, he shoots and he doesn't hit. But he gets what in military parlance we would consider a hit, because the detonation connects, even though the actual shot, just sort of, it's like a proximity detonation.
Yeah, kind of like a flak round.
Yeah, he gets surprised. He goes out there and looks for Heroes below him, and then Hero is above him suddenly. It's not really explained. We can presume that it's just because Gundams are fast.
Yeah, sure.
Have maneuverability, are just better.
They're just better. They're just better in every conceivable way.
It's almost like he didn't take out the air model, and then the thing that could fly got behind him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
But he does land a couple palpable hits.
Yeah, he does. He lands 2 hits, which deal damage. It's trailing smoke,
And then
in aviation parlance, we call that a kill.
They think they got it again.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, he's dead. And then he's not. It transforms.
Yeah. And then the 2 Ares deploy, and this is the real reason why Zex didn't deploy in the Ares, because if he had deployed in Ares, he would have been one of the 2. He destroyed 2 Ares with a single shot.
Yeah,
he opens up with the Buster Cannon. It's one of the signature weapons of this particular model of Gundam.
Yeah, it has a big Gundam. Sniper rifle thing. It's okay.
It fires a wave motion gun.
Yeah, essentially. Actually, it's very similar to the wave motion gun. It even gets tired afterwards.
And notably, it will get even bigger.
It will get bigger. All of the Gundams... See, I am convinced that the actual property of Gundanium in this show is that they, adapt to their opponents to become more extreme. Because every single one of them will, grow new weapons and stronger weapons and reveal more abilities.
No, that's mostly just Heavy Arms that does that.
Heavy Arms does that, but, the Buster Cannon gets bigger.
Well, no, but that's when he gets That's when he gets Wing 0, is when he gets the bigger Buster Cannon.
Sure. But also, Death Scythe does more and more things every time we see it.
For a while, but those are just new weapon capabilities that get revealed. Remember that Death Scythe only shows up in quick flashes for the first few episodes.
Yeah. They just, I don't know, maybe the pilots don't utilize all their stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, but Heavy Arms, on the other hand,
Heavy Arms legitimately just grows more guns every time.
Yeah, and we will be keeping a count of miniguns, which we will...
It's going to grow more guns in this episode.
Yes.
It's literally going to cut away and cut back, and they'll have more guns. But anyway.
But yeah, so they engage to effectively a draw, really, because the 2 Ares get wiped out.
Yeah.
Zex then locks, he goes to melee. He cuts his parachute, which nobly one of his guys had to hand him.
Yes, which is funny.
Sir, you forgot this when you jumped out of the
space transport in your mech. That is distinctly not lighter than air.
And notably, they believe the pilot will not survive impact at the ground, regardless of whether the suit does or not.
Yeah, but he kind of grabs him, locks up his mech, and is like, haha, you can't fly anymore, and then ejects. And this, it works.
He even gives him, the jaunty 2-finger salute.
Right, this works. I wouldn't call this a draw. Zex wins.
No, okay, yeah.
Zex wins pretty handily in terms of, since the objective is to land on Earth and do damage, Gundam Wing now cannot do that, right?
Yeah, Wing Gundam cannot do that.
If this happened to all 5 of them, the plot would just be over. The show would be over. That would be it.
Yeah, well, and we'll find out about that pretty quick, because then I think this is when it smash cuts to the other Gundams.
No, because we get a bit more.
Oh no, yeah, that's right. He
discussion. This is where we cut to them this is where Relina and her father land.
Oh right, yes.
We cut to them. Okay, they've landed safely on the ground. There's a discussion of it's her birthday. He's a work-oriented guy, and she is like, "No, it's okay. I can handle myself." And he's like, "Great, I'm going to this military conference." And then she is just notably is one of the wealthiest and most important people on this planet. And just wanders to the beach.
It's really funny too, because they're heading out to the car and they're like, Relina, come with us. Like, we'll drop you off at the house along the way. And she's
like, no, it's fine.
I'll walk on my own. And they literally just smash cut to her in the background as they're in the car. And the general's like, all right, let's go.
They just leave her at the airport. They do not care.
They sure don't.
She just wanders down to the beach and is complaining that her dad doesn't remember that it's her birthday, despite the fact that he in a press conference just talked about the fact that it's her birthday.
Yeah.
And then finds Hiroyui washed up on the beach in his spacesuit.
And then that's when it cuts to the other
Yes,
Gundams.
that's when we cut to the other Gundams attacking.
Starting with the best Gundam and arguably the most sane of the Gundam pilots.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Duo Maxwell and Gundam Death Scythe.
Yeah.
And he, like, cuts a boat in half?
No,
he's attacking
a military... fighting boats. He's just fighting, like, a military base.
Oh, that's right.
But there's also... Yeah, so this is where we get into, like, Zex with one Leo managed to, like, basically cripple Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
And Duo Maxwell in Gundam Death Scythe is now taking on, like, hundreds of Leos. And their guns don't do anything to him. They're just ineffectual. Which is in the plot how it's supposed to work. They are, like, supposed to be basically invincible.
It's interesting, because, again, Zex's cannon works, but, like, the Ares hit that mobile suit multiple times with their, like, standard assault rifle rounds and a quad homing missile launcher.
Yeah, and just doing anything. So yeah, it's when Zex fires guns, they actually work. They deal damage. He's just that good. He's got, like, I don't know. He took an extra feat for a more damage multiplier. He's got armor pen.
Yeah.
He has spec'd his mechs for armor pen apparently. But yeah, so he's, like, slaughtering them, and he's even talking. He's like, "Oh, they're all, like, so pathetic beneath me," or something to that effect.
Yeah. He doesn't go quite that condescending. He's more like.
He's pretty condescending.
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough.
He's pretty condescending.
He says, like, one line, and I don't really remember it that well, so it's fair.
It is like
we'll get into
they
Duo's
can't
voice
take
actor
on
when Duo becomes more prominent.
The power of a Gundam.
Yeah, that's what he says. He says something along those lines.
And then we see all the others.
Because
I think next we go to Heavy Arms.
Yeah, next we go to Heavy Arms. So just menacingly walking down.
Walks at them with his one gun Gatling cannon firing. We cut to, like, you know, the results of his attack, and then we cut back to him, and he has 2 more chest cannons that have opened up. He's already growing additional guns. He's up to 3.
Yeah.
And then he fires missiles. Because Heavy Arms just has lots of guns, and that's its job.
And he will have even more missile launchers, notably, as the series goes on.
Yeah, he gets more missile launchers. He gets more machine guns. Gatling cannons, really. It just that's what Heavy Arms does. It just has the most gun. And then we see Troa and the Bagwanat Corps, who
not Troa's.
Oh,
in Heavy
sorry,
Arms.
Not Troa. Ketra.
Notably, each of the characters, if I remember correctly, their name is associated with a number.
Yeah,
which is used heavily in the fanfic community to denote ships.
Yeah, I'm not in that community, but yeah,
well,
I've seen it.
You were the one who like researched it in our original run through.
I did, and yes, it is. They do like 2x4 or whatever.
Yeah.
is like how they in your like AO3 tags. That's like how they.
Yeah. That's as far as we dug into it.
Denote.
We didn't.
And I think there was a little more notation too, because it's like the first number is the picture, if I recall correctly.
Something like that.
The top to be more accurate. But anyway, they just like, we cut to the Bagwanat Corps, who like ambush from the sand like they're the Mongolians in Mulan. Which is cool. He's also just the only guy that brought an army with him.
Yeah,
instead of just
Ketra has connections on Earth.
Yeah, Ketra knows people. This is our first indication that maybe not everyone on Earth is.
Ketra also doesn't. Does he like not? I don't think he says anything.
No, he doesn't. We don't even really see Ketra do anything.
No.
It's just the Magwanaut Corps ambushes some guys. They could have done that at any time. Mm-hmm. I guess
they show Sandrock dramatically standing amongst a field of like Leo corpses.
Yeah, well, they like caught them off guard because they were expecting to like search for a thing, and then they get ambushed by people with guns. Fair enough. And then we cut to the worst character, the worst mech, just the worst.
Wu Fei and his stupid dragon claw flamethrower weapon. No, sorry, retractable dragon claw flamethrower, because he like fires it on a rope at things, and then also it has a flamethrower. It's profoundly stupid. And he's destroying a bunch of boats. Yeah.
And good for him.
Yeah, he's the one who cut a boat in half this episode.
Yeah, that'll have
cut in half by Gundams.
But yeah, he like sinks an entire navy or something, which is funny because we will then cut to we'll cut back to Relina.
At the beach, calling EMS.
This is part of what's confusing, is because like we're cutting between these scenes, and like there is a scene that follows after this scene that explains what's going on, but it is not the next scene. It is we have to do more stuff with Relina. But yeah, Hiroyui has woken up. He sees Relina. She says, "Don't move. I've called an ambulance." And then he tries to kill himself with a bomb
counter goes
on
up by 1.
his chest. Yes, that's, we're gonna keep track of those. It's at 1 currently. It won't be the last. But yeah, I mean, he tries to activate his like suicide vest, presumably because he doesn't want to be captured
and interrogated, right?
Which is fair. That's not unreasonable, but it just doesn't work. There's a bomb on his chest. He detonates it. It successfully detonates, and he just kind of gets thrown backward. It doesn't even put a hole in his suit.
No,
like it blows outward. Condition. It blows outward and like rips that part of the suit, but there's like suit on his chest still.
Also,
it's like they put the shaped charge in backwards.
It's also triggered really weird because he pushes a red button, then he clacks his wrists together.
Yeah, I guess to like confirm or to complete a circuit, maybe? I think he's completing a circuit. That's what I would have to believe. It's like he has C4 on his chest and he completes a circuit and it explodes.
Like he opens the circuit by hitting the red button and then completes it by connecting.
Right. He turns on the battery or whatever and then completes the circuit and explodes. But again, it does not.
It's actually
successfully.
Yeah. And it's right above his heart too. The detonation
explode him.
Yeah.
Nor does it explode Relina. It doesn't explode. It kind of just puts out a gout of explosion in a random direction, and then
he
throws him off his feet, and then he runs away.
He runs up and steals the ambulance.
Yeah, he does. He does, in fact, run past the paramedics and steal the ambulance, which is great. That's good. That's a solid move, Hiroyui. But yeah, his suicide vest just doesn't work. And I don't. Again, it's like they put the shaped charge in backwards.
Yeah,
like that's the only explanation I have, is that it's supposed to be a shaped charge that goes through his heart, because it's right over his heart. Yeah. It's right over his heart. It's supposed to go through his heart and kill him, and it instead just kind of blows outward and does nothing.
Yeah, it like sends him backwards, and he kind of goes, "Oh."
Which also, I mean, look, if you're designing a suicide vest, like I get that you might need to avoid being captured. But surely at that point you don't care about who you take with you. It doesn't need to be a shaped charge. No. It's not like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna commit suicide to avoid being captured, and let me make sure nobody else dies.
I want to say maybe, and I'm probably pretty off base with this, but it might be because they needed to have room for the life support systems in the spacesuit.
Oh, so it's a very small explosive? Maybe. Or maybe it's not supposed to explode. The only other thing I can think of is that it's not actually a bomb, that he's like overloading something on his suit.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And that it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That it just doesn't kill him.
He's trying to like send his...
Or maybe he's trying to kill Relina.
Yeah.
It's possible that he's trying to kill Relina and misses, because it's kind of sort of aimed at her, and it sort of blows outward. It's possible this is supposed to be some sort of last-ditch offensive weapon, because that's all that makes sense, because it doesn't even hurt him.
No. He is in pristine condition.
Yeah, so maybe it's just some sort of... Like, maybe he doesn't try to kill himself here. Maybe he just tries to kill Relina. Which, by the way, should probably do a counter for that, too. Because that's also going to happen repeatedly.
Well, he's not going to try. He's going to threaten to
kill Relina. He's going to threaten to kill Relina a lot. I guess that's fair. He doesn't actually make the attempt. I think he makes it one more time. He tries to kill Relina. Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
But anyway, and then he steals his...
For how often he threatens it, he sure attempts very.
He has plenty of opportunity. But anyway, so then
Relina is smitten, by the way.
Super. Yeah, and then we get this weird scene because he's driven off in the ambulance. The paramedics have run off after him. And then she does this weird "Hi, I'm Relina Dorlin. It's nice to meet you," and holds out her hand to the empty air in his direction. Right? She's upset that he didn't introduce himself properly. This guy who tried to explode one of the two of them upon meeting.
Yeah, it's unclear who.
Yeah, someone was supposed to die there.
No one did. Yeah, so then it cuts back.
Then we cut back to Zex. Then we get the explanation.
Well, we actually cut to Zex is part of this, but we don't actually cut back to him.
Oh, you're right. We get the meeting with Treize first, right?
No, we get the meeting with Treize first.
Yeah.
And then it's going to cut again.
It's just so many cuts. It's so confusing.
I'm pretty sure. And but it's Treize in a military meeting.
Right, and they're accusing him of misusing military assets because he's searching for the falling stars. Which, I don't know, that seems like they're the biggest threat.
Considering how much damage they've done to you.
Right, they're actively killing your dudes. That makes... But yeah, they're you're wasting resources. And he's no, this is important. We must find out.
Neutralize these Gundams.
There's this whole plot of, we have to find out what their plan is. And it's
I don't even think
to attack you.
Yeah.
The plan is to attack you. Yeah. It's not... We'll find out later that there is, a lot of plotting and secret planning. But at this stage, there's no reason to suspect some sort of secret plan. Mm-hmm. They have launched 5 mechs that have landed and attacked you. And are apparently extremely effective. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
But yeah, he gets kind of admonished by the, head general or whatever. But not really. I mean, he's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
Be more careful.
Yeah, one of the head general just kind of gives him a slap on the wrist and is "Oh, Treize, you rapscallion, don't worry about it. Just don't fuck up next time.
Yeah, don't screw up again." But yeah, then we cut to Zex.
Well, we cut to Treize in an opera.
Oh yeah, the opera.
Yes, Treize is at an opera.
Well, Treize is also... Treize has a soliloquy here.
Yeah.
He straight up... There's there's a background. It's not a real in-universe background. It's a very just kind of blue with lines. Mm-hmm. Clearly
that happens after his discussion with Zex, though. I think.
Does it? No, because it happens in this scene
it does.
It happens in response to him being accused of misusing military assets.
Oh, right.
He just goes on this villain monologue.
Yeah, where he's in reality, all the military resources will belong to my villainous organization.
Yeah,
soon. Oz.
Yeah, he's literally just internally thinking I'm going to do away with all you stupid generals and not have to listen to you anymore.
Your opinions don't matter to me.
Yeah, and I'm going to steal all your shit.
Yeah, that's right. And then we cut to the opera.
Right, then we cut to the opera, but it's very weird.
And he's talking on a laptop.
His voice changes to be more villainous. Mm-hmm. He just has this villainous soliloquy.
Yeah.
And you're oh, that's the bad guy.
Yeah. For now.
Which, because previously it was kind of unclear who the bad guy... Zex kind of seemed like the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
If only because we kind of presume that the colonial freedom fighters are the good guys. It's not actually the case, but they sort of are.
They're framed as such.
I mean, Hiro Yui is literally named Hiro So I get that in Japanese that doesn't translate properly. But in English, he's named Hero, so he must be the protagonist. And he's been framed as the protagonist. And Zex is going to be kind of framed as his opponent and the bad guy. And it turns, no, this Trey's guy is the bad guy.
Yeah.
The actual, factual, literal bad guy.
Correct.
But yeah, then we go to the opera, where they have this discussion of, again, it's just like, are we ready to implement our evil plan? Yes.
And he discusses the attack on the Gundams.
Yeah.
And Trey's it expresses disbelief that they're made of Gundanium.
Yes. There's a whole like, really? They're made of Gundanium? Yeah. How is that possible?
Well, because Zex says when we scanned it, it was made of Gundanium. You can't be serious.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
But they are.
So.
And then that's when Trey's kind of is like, oh. He does his like villainous like.
Which is funny because we will find out later that he's entirely aware of this plan. Mm-hmm. This is in no way surprising to him.
Nor is the existence of like large amounts of Gundanium or using it in a mobile suit.
No, this is like, he knows about this. This is a very weird conversation to have included in the show. Because it just doesn't... We already know they're made of Gundanium, right? We already know Zex knows. Him telling Trey's just isn't relevant to the plot.
Ambassador Dorlin knows.
Yeah, everyone knows about this secret plot to send the Supermax.
Ambassador Dorlin name drops it. We forgot to mention this earlier, but he name drops it in front of Relina on the civilian spacecraft.
He sure does.
He just goes, Operation Meteor.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing.
So then we smash cut to Relina's school.
No, we get Zex going over the attacks first.
And Zex basically like, being like, hey, we're the only ones who survived.
Yeah, we survived our encounter with ours. They survived because they, shot down Wing. But yeah, everybody else who has sought out these landing sites has just been wiped out. Which, like, sure. Yeah, I mean, we saw that happening.
Well, and
then he has this lengthy conversation with his lads about, like, what they're gonna do about this.
Yeah. And they mention that reinforcements for the search team are gonna be out for another couple hours.
Right. They're like basically like, okay, we have to like our like armed search and rescue teams are not enough. We have to actually go get like a whole army.
Well, because they mentioned that there's a naval squadron already out looking for it.
Yes.
And that they're like trying to make a jump for the glory over Zex because this
is where we get some of the infighting between the the different Earth factions where like they want to be like there's just a little bit of a competition of who gets to be the one coolest.
Who gets to be the one who gets the glory.
Yeah.
There's a lot of glory hunting that
there's
between factions in this.
All of the characters in this, one of their main motivations is I'm gonna be the coolest. And it's just, some of them are.
Some of them succeed.
Right. But yeah, then things get anime.
Yeah.
I realize up to this point there's been mechs shooting each other and lengthy exposition, and you think that's anime, but no, we're going to a school now. Because we cut to Relina's school, and first we cut to some of her classmates talking again about the fact that her birthday is coming up, which, whatever. And this is where we get the reveal that she's the richest, because we didn't actually know that to this point. Which again, I'd like to live in a universe where a public servant
not
makes
even
you,
a president or anything.
Yeah,
he's an ambassador.
He's an ambassador, and he must have gotten rich before being an ambassador. Surely being an ambassador doesn't pay that well.
What bribes is he taking?
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe that's why he knows about Operation Meteor. He's just being bribed.
Could be.
But yeah, so we get the reveal that she's the richest girl at school, and they talk about, isn't her birthday coming up? Yeah, I guess we should be nice to her because she's really rich. And then they're in class, And the teacher is like, we have a new student, and presents the new student, and it's Hiro Yui, who found a suit somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in his... Is that in his seer kit? Like, is there a bow tie in his seer kit?
Now do pay attention, 007. This part is very important.
Yeah, but yeah, he has enrolled at this school, and Relina goes, oh my god, it's the kid I found on the beach who tried to explode one of us. Not out loud.
And he is giving a death glare.
Yeah, she doesn't say this out loud, which would maybe be intelligent. Instead, she decides that after class, she's going to, like, present him with a note, presumably declaring her undying love for him.
Well, no, it's an invitation to her birthday party.
That's right, it's an invitation to her birthday
and
party.
Everyone applauds.
So yes, I was correct. And everyone applauds that and then disappears. Everyone applauds and then disappears. Because no one's watching for the rest of this. Because if they were, it would be insane. And then he tears the invitation in half and throws it back to her. And she's upset.
So far, so animated.
Sheds a single tear. He walks up, brushes the tear from her eye.
Very deftly.
Very extremely smooth.
Dude's got game.
And then whispers to her, I'm gonna kill you. And then walks off.
And if his intent was to intimidate her, he failed miserably because she's even more down bad for this
that
man.
is the hottest thing anyone's ever said to me. Yeah. Like, I am in, take me now. And he's like, I'll murder you. Like,
oh,
man. And then that's the episode.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we end on. And it's so weird.
Very strange.
Like up to all of the military drama at least made sense. And then we just have this school plot, which is going to take up vast quantities of screen time and is almost entirely pointless unless you really care about the drama of whether or not Hiro Yui and Relina Dorlin get together. Which, I believe it is the opinion of this podcast, we do not.
Very much the opinion of this podcast as a whole.
But yeah. And then we get an outro song. It's alright. It's not nearly as good as the intro song.
The intro song is so good.
The intro song's really good. The outro song
The intro
is
in general
mediocre.
is really good.
It
also grossly misrepresents like two of the characters.
Oh, it does, but yeah, whatever.
That's opening.
That's
for you
openings.
In the 90s.
Look, I mean, it could be worse. It could be modern anime openings where they just spoil the plot.
Yeah. There's a reason why I skip openings.
Yeah, but instead we get this, and yeah, let me tell you, as mecha anime outros go, it's no Fly Me to the Moon.
Yeah. Look. It is no Fly Me to the Moon. But yeah, going back to the school thing, because we had a discussion about this before we started recording this, and okay, so if you're trying, so you would think at this point, Hiro's goal is to fly under the radar, right?
Right. Yeah. His goal is to be, presumably, he needs to be stealthy until he can
retrieve his Gundam.
Well, at this point, he's not even trying to retrieve it.
Well, we don't know what he's going to do yet.
We don't know what he's going to do, but it will come to light that his goal is to destroy it.
Yeah.
Which does make sense. He's got to... Which, notably, again, if he was trying to kill himself in that previous thing, he hasn't destroyed his Gundam yet. So that would have been bad. So again, I'm convinced he was trying to kill Relina. It had to be that his last-ditch weapon is a shaped charge on his chest to kill whoever's in front of him.
What an awkward, weird way to go about it, but yeah.
But so he... Yeah, so his goal is to lay low and, like, I guess gather resources or maybe make contact with the other Gundam pilots. That part's unclear, too, because they're not super aware of each other.
No.
We'll come to find out. But his goal must be to lay low and fight some sort of guerrilla war.
Yeah.
And why does that involve enrolling at rich kids' school? Because we thought for a second that maybe his goal was to assassinate Relina. She's a high-profile public figure. daughter of an ambassador.
Who
maybe
regularly
he just
runs
figures,
off all by herself with no bodyguards.
Well, and maybe he just wants to kill her because she's seen his face? But now everyone's seen his face. But I guess only she associates it with the Gundam. Well, no, she doesn't even associate. She hasn't seen the Gundam. No. At no point was the Gundam on that beach. It was just him.
Yeah. In an unmarked
in like
military
in a uniform. Yeah. But like, if he wanted to kill her, he could have right there. Right, there's no one around. He gets very close to her to whisper into her ear. He could have just killed her. He's a trained military pilot, right? She's a little girl. Like he could have murdered her. I'm not saying that would have been, a good thing, but he could have. So clearly that must not be his goal. Which means, yeah. And if his goal is to lay low, so as you brought up that, like, to lay low, he needs to be in school because a kid wandering around will be suspicious.
But why rich kid school?
Where did he get the money to enroll? Did they send him down with a credit card?
We'll actually find out his methodology for infiltrating rich kids school
We
later.
will,
but it still doesn't make
a lot of sense as to why. You could use those resources for something else. And, like, it just doesn't make any sense why he's here other than it's an anime and there has to be a school involved because anime is for kids. Right? And this makes him relatable as he now becomes a schoolboy.
Right.
Like,
it's...
Or maybe his colony is just very serious about education and he doesn't want to fall behind.
He wants to get the best possible education.
Get the best possible education while he's infiltrating the Earth government. Because it just doesn't... We'll find out that the education at this school is not necessarily... They don't do a lot of being educated.
No,
they mostly drama around and...
Yeah,
get threatened by Hero.
His soap opera, The School.
Classic anime school. That's pretty normal. Honestly, if I knew I was in an anime and had to go to a school, I'd be really afraid that all the kids at Rich Kid School also secretly had mechs because that's how anime works.
Or magical powers.
See, that would be a fun crossover. Your mech pilot starts to infiltrate Rich Kid School and then just gets bodied by a magical girl. That covers the episode, such as it is.
Alright, so we'll catch you for episode 2. We're pre-recording a bunch of these in a row, so we won't be able to respond to comments right away.
No, but we will eventually.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
We shall see. We'll see how much viewership this gets.
All of you guys argue in the comments, and then we'll come in and decide which of you is right.
Yeah. That's how it works.
That's what drives engagement, as I understand it.
Yeah, from what I understand it these days.
Speaking of driving engagement, again, dub's better. The entire anime community just commented on our video.
Yeah, we'll see you for episode 2. Peace.
Goodbye. Not doing the old outro.
Okay.